Hey everyone, it's Ethan. Today I'm going to be making a video on how to play chess for beginners. So my series will have three parts, and today I'm going to be doing the end game. So I'm going to start off with some basic checkmates, and then I'm going to do some pawn end games with some homework at the end. For the homework, I will not be revealing the answers because I do not want people to skip to the end of the video. But the homework should be pretty easy. So I'm just going to show checkmating with two rooks versus a king. This is one of the simpler checkmates. Two queens is really easy. Just you can do it the same way you do two rooks. Just watch out for stalemate. So you can either, for the two rooks, you can either put your rooks on you can try to control the king through ranks or files. I'm going to choose the file just because, I mean rank. Yeah, I'm going to choose the rank just because it's easier to coordinate the rooks because the king doesn't get in the way. So, as you can see, we went from the starting position, the rook was on e2 originally, to checkmate in just 6 moves. An important pattern is to keep your rooks on adjacent files and ranks. You don't want them on the same uh, file or rank because then they get in each other's way, and that's not as productive. So just so rook b5 after you get into this position, get your rooks as far from the king as possible. And yeah, just move each rook 2 squares up the board, and that is mate. Of course, black does not have to go king g6. That's the best move. And just remember, don't don't rush, because now black just take your rook, and that would be a lot harder to checkmate. Although, of course, it's still doable. So, yep, I hope you all got the 2x checkmate. Again, very simple. You do not need to use your king. Now, the next chapter is how to checkmate with the king and queen versus king, and you will need your king for that one. So the easiest way to do it is just move the queen and knight's distance away from the king. That's where the queen controls the most squares without being directly next to the king because the king would just take it. So yeah, don't do something like queen e3, black is just gonna take it. Instead, go queen e2. And like just move the queen correspondingly with the king, like e5, or the queen just follow the yeah, that was a mouthful. So yeah, just follow the king around. Be careful not to stalemate though. Once the king reaches the corner, put the queen here. That way, the king has the fewest escape scores possible, but it's not stalemate. And that's bring your king in to mate. Yeah, this is very doable. The only thing to watch out for is don't hang your queen and don't stalemate. Once the king reaches the corner, give it 2 squares to move between, so you don't stalemate, but the king also can't escape. Yeah, you just remember shadow the king with the queen. Okay, what would you do? 5. It's just queen e4, that that checkmate is pretty simple. If you want, you can try it against stockfish, and if you don't understand, just rewatch the video again. It takes time. Good luck. So now I'm gonna do king and rook versus king. This is going to require a king again. So king e2, and I'm going to teach y'all one of the German words I know, Zugzwang. Zugzwang is when your opponent has no good moves. I want to say no legal moves, but that is either stalemate or checkmate. So yeah, no good moves. Every move your opponent can play worse than the third position. So the easiest way to do that is just to make moves that don't worsen your position, because that's so don't concede space, but eventually if you make waiting moves, black is gonna have to worsen their position. So yeah, only I'd say the biggest danger is hanging your rook. It's easier to hang your rook because the king can directly attack it. So yeah, just remember rook is under attack, defend it. And yeah, like keep making slow improving moves. Like let's say you got into this position. Now you're gonna have to waste a move. King e8, king e6. Now you're gonna have to waste a move. Because if you just keep chasing the king is just gonna keep moving. So now you want to do something like rook h7, and now you know what? And you have man on the board. But the simplest way is to just keep cutting the king off and again make some waiting move, like rook f1 here. Like don't this is not one of the checkmates you can rush on. So yeah, don't play rook f6, of course, just go rook f1, play a few waiting moves, and yeah, once you make those waiting moves, you checkmate. So I hope you all got that. This is one of the this is one of the more time-consuming basic checkmates, but this is definitely doable. Y'all got this. So, king pawn versus pawn. This position is a draw for black to move, a win for white to move. Yes. So king d8, e7, king e8, king e6. That's stalemate. So here, if white just moves their king back, just get into this position, and it's the same position. There's something called triangulation, and here white is unable to triangulate. That's very important. So triangulation is basically just like wasting a move to put your opponent in 6 on. But that is a concept I will cover later. So king d8, and yeah, if white does anything but king e6, black will take the pawn, and if white does king e6, it's stalemate. So now you may have noticed that this is white to move now. White to move wins because e7, king f7, king d7. So both kings want to be as close to the pawn as possible. There is you cannot checkmate with just the pawn unless it can promote. So yeah, if you're the defending side, don't move your king away from the pawn because you think you're going to get checkmated. The best a king and an unpromoted pawn can do is stalemate. And yeah, just if your opponent loosens block it a little bit, take advantage of it. So this position is a draw as well. So G7, that's not the only move, but it's good to get into the habit. So when you're the defending side and you against the position, move the king directly. Move the king directly back. This is because white is unable to take opposition. Opposition is generally when it's your opponent's move, and they they have to give up territory because of Zugzwang. So here it's white's move, and yeah, white has to play the check. And this actually makes it harder for white to get opposition. So, and now king d8. So here king f6 is a losing move. Do not do this. e7, white will take advantage of the broken blockade. So here you have to go directly back. That's the only drawing move. Notice how white would love to take opposition, but the problem is you cannot capture your own pieces. So white has to go either king d6 and king f6. Then you just like follow the king around. King e8, king f6. Do not go king d8 because king f7 wins. So yeah, it's easy to grasp. Just remember, move your king directly back to the defending side, and if your opponent moves on the wrong side of, and make sure your king is on the same file as your opponent's king. If the kings are 2 files apart here and it's white's move, this king d6 wins. And now it looks like black still has the blockade, but they're gonna have to give up territory. This, and yeah, notice how the king being in front of the pawn is actually beneficial. So to recap, this is a win because black's in zugzwang. This is a draw because white is actually in zugzwang here. Because here, white, any move white plays worsens their position. Either due to stalemate or losing the pawn. So, yep. And remember, king in front of pawn is actually beneficial. And here, you may have noticed that the king is in front of the pawn, and this is an easy win. However, just remember, don't get too excited and push the pawn up too far. So now e4, this is all good, all good. Now don't go e6 because black gets that familiar drawn position. And instead, king e8, just go king e6, and black will be in zone again. And remember, guide the pawn to the promotion. That's king and one pawn versus king. That's the role of the king, to guide the pawn. So hope you all got that. Now this position is a draw. The king isn't bounced pawn, but it is white to move, and as you know, zugzwang often occurs. And here black has opposition, so either white's king goes behind the pawn, making it impossible to get black in zugzwang, or white just shuffles the king around. The king again copy your opponent's move, and yeah, just keep taking that opposition. So this is a draw. However, this is a win because white can go e3. This having the pawn being able to move to e3 is called a reserve tempi. Basically, you lose a tempo so that your opponent has to worsen their position. Like king f5, and now, you know, king f7, now e5, king f8, king b7, king e8, king e6. Again, do not go e6 here. So in general, you want to keep your pawn as far back as possible. But once the king is in I'm gonna call this a winning square. If white's king is on any of these squares, unless black's king can capture the pawn, white will be winning. So first, get your king to the three squares adjacent or on the file as a pawn. Hope that wasn't too complicated, but yeah, just put your opponent in zigzag, push, make a pawn move if you have to. And you may have been wondering, hey, the pawn shifted to the A file. Yes, on the A or H files, it's going to be, in almost all cases, there will be a draw. This is because zigzag is basically impossible due to neither side having a square to the left or to the right, depending on which file, because as you may notice here, white would love to go king there, but that is off the board. So there's only one adjacent file, making it an easy draw. And if you're the defensive side, don't worry, just alternate between the two furthest squares you can, and yep, easy draw. And the center pawns properties here, they apply to the center of bishop and knight pawns. Those pawns have more winning chances due to the possibility of zugzwang. So yeah, just remember, rook pawn is almost always a draw. Even this is a draw. If this was any other pawn, it would be an easy win. However, this is drawn due to the fact that white's king cannot get to an adjacent file. And here, if white tries to get out, yeah, king b7, black will just go to the a8 square, and it's impossible to win. But if you try to do this, this is an easy draw. And interestingly enough, the side with the pawn gets stalemated. So yeah, just keep the white king in trapped. Like don't go king g7 because then king d7 wins. But as long as you keep your pawn to c file, it's fine. King c8 is also a draw. So now it is time for exercises. I'm going to alter the position. Right, add new chapter. My bad. That is not my wire. All right, here are the exercises. So here the question is this session winning for either side to move, a draw for either side to move, or uh or a win for white to move, a draw for black to move, or a draw for white to move, win for black to move. And here the position I'd recommend looking at is this one. That's the part you should go back to, just because that deals with the king in front of the pawn, but the pawn having no mobility. And now this one. Is this a draw for either side to move, or a win for either side to move? A, a draw for white to move, a win for black to move, or a draw for black to move, win for white to move? The part I recommend visiting is this one. And here, is this a win for either side to move, draw for black to move, win for white to move, draw for either side, or draw for white to move, win for black to move? The chapter I would recommend visiting is this one. And okay, finally this one. Is this a win for white to move, draw for black to move, win for black to move, draw for white to move, win for either side to move, or draw for either side to move? And you may notice that it's a knight pawn, but as I said before, knight pawns, bishop pawns, and central pawns all have the same properties, so do not worry. And if you got so the easiest way of checking answers is to just set the position up on the analysis board and check what the engine says. If you got 100%, congrats. If you didn't, that is completely okay. We all start somewhere. I've been playing chess for I'm gonna I'm gonna say about 10 years. Even if you account for, well, I only played seriously for 6 years, that is still a long time. Y'all have got this. Every start somewhere. I will see y'all in the next video, and let me know if I should continue this. Anyway, y'all got this. Bye.